Hello. This presentation is one of the classes in ARVC's Prospective Owners Workshop. The name of the presentation is Financing Your Dream. It's for people that are considering building or buying a new RV park and campground. My name's Paul Bosley, and I am the presenter. I'm the founder of Business Finance Depot, a company that I started in 2006, and we've operated the company ever since. I am a volunteer counselor for SCORE, which is the Service Corps of Retired Executives. It is a division of the SBA. I've been a volunteer since 2011. We all do what we can to help people to launch a business. My baccalaureate is in recreation and parks and health science. I always wanted to work in a park. I ended up in the finance business after owning and operating large chains of health clubs and sold them. I went back in my 50s to get my accounting undergrad work done, and then I went into the Florida Atlantic University master's degree program in accounting with a concentration in business valuation. Our company is an agent of 26 different national SBA and USDA lenders. That's what we do for a living. We're also under contract with about 23 different equipment financing companies. We've been financing the Camp Jellystone franchisees since 2016, and we've been financing the KOA resales since 2020. I have been speaking and exhibiting at the ARVC annual Outdoor Hospitality Conference and Expo since 2019, right through 2022. We didn't speak last year, but we exhibited, and I spoke up until 2021. Actually, and I've applied to speak again this year in Kansas City. And we're the ARVC National School faculty that I present the financing and cash flow management and budgeting ever since 2019 to present. So that's my background, just to share it with you so you know who's doing the presentation. The main thing that I learned in the valuation program is because you spend so much time and money launching a business, your business is an asset. And one of the things you should include in your thinking is, what do you anticipate long-term being your exit strategy? So you start with the end in mind. I always use the example when I ran the Boston Marathon, you kind of knew you wanted to get to the Prue at the end on the 26th mile, in the middle of the 26th mile, actually. And it's the same with starting a business. You know, do you think you're going to want to, a lot of people we've met want to build a campground and give it off to their children. Some want to just build it and get it for cash flowing and sell it. You know, what's your goal? Because that, to some extent, is going to make a difference in how you develop the business. You have really three different financing options, and they're almost always combined. When you're doing the financing, everyone has to do some self-financing, whether you're liquidating your stock or your savings, or the ROBS program stands for Rollover Our Business Startups, which is a program designed by the IRS that you can liquidate your stocks before retirement age and use it as part of your funding for this. We use this program a lot for the equity injection for an SBA or a USDA loan. The equity financing is where you bring in partners. Any partners that own under 20% don't have to sign on any loan documents or any franchise documents. All partners over 20% ownership have to sign on everything. So if you're going to bring in somebody who just really wants to put money into it, but they don't want to be on the liability side of it, you keep their stock under 20%. What's very common is, as an example, if you need a couple $100,000 to launch this, where you put up 100,000 and I put up 100,000, we're going to be 50-50 partners. So however you decide to value the company, but your business is like a partnership and you know, and it's like a marriage in business. And so it's something that you should really think through. It's important. And then finally, debt financing, which is the third way of financing. You've got the self-financing, the equity financing, and debt financing is the most common method, whether you're talking about, you know, mortgages, SBA loans, commercial loans, USDA loans, equipment financing. Somehow, when you're developing your project, you're going to combine these three things. So for preparation, there's 5 or 6 different slides that I'll share. The first one is personal credit. All underwriting decisions are going to involve personal credit. Usually 700 or more is considered good. So if you know this going in, you should get an Experian credit report for yourself and for all your partners. Look at it, make sure everything's accurate. Any derogatory items, you can always dispute them. Sometimes you get lucky, you know, and it comes right off. And if you have a lot of derogatory items before you start the process, my recommendation is you hire a credit advocate. If you don't have one that you know of, you can email me. I'll share my email address at the end of the presentation, and I'll be happy to do an introduction to the company that we refer people to. The second item is to incorporate your business. You typically, when you incorporate in most states, it's going to be listed on your state Secretary of State website. It's a state listing. If you've already got a business, you know, just look it up, make sure that everything in the business listing is accurate. Make sure all the ownership listed is correct. Any owners that have poor credit, I would remove them, and you could have a separate agreement with them unless necessary to be under 20% partners. If you have an existing company, my recommendation is to keep it open and do a DBA. So this way, an underwriter understands that you know how to run a business. So in our company's example, as you know, our company does business as Business Finance Depot. That's a DBA that we own. The company actually is healthclubexperts.com, which is a company that I formed in Florida back in 2006. And in Connecticut, we had a form going back, well, probably close to 30 years. All underwriting decisions involve a Secretary of State check. The lender is going to look up your Secretary of State listing. The third thing is your business credit. Many people don't realize that you have not only personal credit, but business credit. The most common company that lenders look at is Dun & Bradstreet. They'll automatically create a file for your corporation as soon as you open up your business. So you can always contact them and get a copy of your report. You can update your report anytime you want with your time in business and ownership information and your contact information. And if you want to develop good business credit, you can do that by enrolling in Dun & Bradstreet self-monitoring program, which would cost anywhere from $300 to $1,000. I'm not sure exactly how much it costs. My guess is it's probably closer to the $1,000 now. I remember when I did it years ago, it was something like $300 or $400. And you can actually send in your annual financial information and your vendors that you use for credit lines to help improve your business credit. All applications are going to require you to put your banking information in. My recommendation is you set up your banking with either a community bank or a credit union, which are usually easier to deal with. All underwriters are going to check your average daily balance and your month-ending balance. They're going to make sure that your month-ending balances are high, especially when you're doing equipment financing. They're going to see if you have an NSFs, which is not sufficient funds. So you obviously don't want to write any bad checks. And learn, you know, when they're going to consider you a candidate for business financing, which is typically 2 to 3 years time in business. And what we found in this industry, the RV park industry, is that banks will indeed finance real estate and they'll give low interest rates, but they will require a balloon payment, which is something meaning that you're going to have to refinance your loan somewhere between year 5 and year 7, which is not really a good idea. If you look at an amortization schedule, you're going to find that by that time, most of your money is went toward interest, and you're going to be refinancing almost the same amount of money that you originally financed. So if you are going to go to a local bank, the first question I'd ask is, if you do financing, are you going to have a balloon payment? As I mentioned in my introduction, I'm a SCORE counselor. You can get free resources for business plan templates, financial projection templates for free on score.org. You can also talk to mentors. They're free. You can request a mentor to somebody help you. And most chapters will have free seminars that they give. You look on score.org and you go into the online presentations, you'll see my presentation that was made about 3 or 4 years ago about financing. So obviously, planning is part of the application process. The key parts to the business plan are your bio. They're going to want to know who you are, what have you done to prepare yourself for getting involved with the RV park industry. I would suggest you put that you have been a graduate of the Prospective Owners Workshop almost on the top of your bio, along with any actual experience you've had working or owning in the RV park industry. The ARVC has a national school. As I mentioned in my introduction, you might want to consider enrolling in the national school so you actually get certified by ARVC. Whatever state you're in will have an ARVC chapter. I know Florida has a chapter they're in conjunction with Alabama, and there's different types of programs you can be involved there with. Your financial projections are also going to be required. That are going to show your projections for the first 2 to 3 years by all lenders. What makes your product different? How is your park different than your competitors? And who are your competitors? That's all part and key parts of the business plan. So the second part of this presentation, we talk about the different ways of financing. The most common is the 7A loan, the SBA 7A loan. The SBA Small Business Administration, it's a division of the federal government. It backs usually up to 70% of all SBA loans. They do larger percentages for exporting, but most of the SBA loans for the RV park industry will be backed by the SBA by 70%, which means that the lender is technically only on the hook for 30% of the loan, even though they're going to get 100% of the revenue. So, it's a good deal for lenders, and the SBA is there to help make financing easier for especially for startups. However, SBA loans can use not only for startups, but for existing businesses. SBA loans are usually going to require collateral, which is going to be your RV park will be used as collateral for the loan. They can be used to just finance business acquisitions, purchases of land, construction, working capital, equipment, everything you need to open up the business. The applications are going to require you have a source and use of funds, which is a form that will identify where all the money's coming from, your money, as well as where the bank money, and where it's going to go to. Whether it's the purchase of land, franchise fee, construction, park model cabins, glamping structures, real estate development, things that have to be done to open up an RV park, marketing, working capital. They'll also require a business plan. Your tax returns, not only personal, but if you have another business, they're referred to in banking as an affiliate corporation. So they'll want the tax returns for your affiliate corporation and your personal financial statements for all owners over 20% ownership that lists your assets and liabilities. If you're financing an RV park using an SBA loan, more than half of your income has to come from short-term rentals. So you can have long-term rentals that are more than a month, but it has to total less than 50% of your revenue. SBA does not finance passive investment. Continuing to talk about SBA loans, SBA 504 loans, which are one type of loan, goes up to $10 million. It's for strictly for real estate and asset purchases. They'll finance up to 90%. which means that obviously you only have to come up with 10%. It's a 25-year fully amortized loan with no balloon payments. So unlike going to local banks with balloon payments, these are fully amortized. And once the bank approves it, there's a secondary approval required by the local or regional CDC office, which is the certified development company that's in your area. The SBA 7A loan go up to $5 million. They refinance that up to 70% of the or 70% of project costs. They'll refinance all of the existing debt that you have if you want to just do it for refinancing, or usually up to 70%, or maybe sometimes even more of your project costs for a startup or for an acquisition. It'll finance construction, equipment, working capital over 10 years. If there's no real estate, if there is real estate, they'll finance again up to 90%, and they'll finance out over 25 years. Most startups they're usually going to have to come up with something like 20 or 25%, and then the bank will finance the rest. It's going to require business and personal collateral just up to the loan amount. So if you're buying real estate, generally the real estate you're buying is the collateral. There's an SBA SLA loan, small loan advantage. They go up to $350,000. They're just for working capital and equipment purchases with a 10-year repayment. So here you've got three different loan programs: the 504, the 7A, and the SLA program. Aggressive SBA lenders are what's called national PLP lenders, preferred lending partners of the SBA, which means that the loan, in the case of the 7A and the SLA loan, does not have to go to the SBA or to any place else. The only loan that would have to go to someplace else would be the 504 loan, which has to go to the local CDC office for them also to approve it. The second type of loan program is the USDA loan program. These underlines, by the way, in the presentation are links. You can click on the link, go to a map, input your location, and it'll tell you whether you're eligible or not. So it's got to be eligible geographically. So obviously, if your location is someplace like a downtown area, you're probably not eligible, but most RV parks obviously are in the country. So most RV parks are in eligible areas, but not all. So you have to check your address of where you're looking to buy or develop. Again, just like the SBA, the USDA is a government agency and guarantees a large percentage of the loan amount. USDA stands for U.S. Department of Agriculture. It offers a 30-year repayment term as opposed to the SBA, which is 25 years. The interest rate is usually lower than an SBA loan. However, on the downside, the USDA loans typically have higher fees than SBA loans. One of the big differences is USDA loans will go anywhere up to $25 million, where an SBA loan, depending on the program, the 504 goes up to $10 million, the 7A goes up to $5 million for SBA loans. Another big difference is once you hit that $5 or $10 million with SBA loans, you're capped until you pay off the loan at the $5 or $10 million. Where with USDA loans, you're not capped. You can do a $20 million USDA loan this year and come back next year and do another $10 million loan. USDA on the backside has a slower process. It's going to require environmental studies before construction starts. And again, just like that 504 loan, 2 approvals are required. The USDA has a regional office, and the USDA regional office has got to approve it. If the loan is over 10 million, it's got to be approved by the national office for the USDA. The third financing is equipment financing. You can finance cabins, glamping structures, golf carts, equipment, IT equipment, landscaping equipment, water features. Generally, this is good if you already own the land or you have a mortgage and you don't want to refinance the mortgage, but you want to develop the land. Upfront fees range anywhere from $200 to $500. Documentation fees. Deposits can range anywhere from 0 to 20% down, depending on your time of business and how strong you are financially. Generally speaking, startups pay 20% down, and generally speaking, strong existing companies can get as little as no money down. The term for repayment, fully amortized, 24 months up to 60 months. Equipment financing, again, there's different kinds. Leasing means that they own the equipment until it's paid in full. At the end of term, you usually pay $1, 10% or 20%, then you own it. During the period of time, you're writing off the entire lease payment. With equipment finance agreements, you're going to own the equipment from the beginning. The lender is going to file a UCC lien until the loans are paid, and then they release the lien, just like a car loan. In that case, your company's going to write off the interest expense, and you're going to depreciate the asset over its anticipated life of the business. The other way is you just go to a local bank, like we talked about. If you've been incorporated for over 3 years, your lenders, all your owners have good credit, over 700 or more. You've got tax returns showing positive net income, and your sales are growing, then you're eligible certainly for a traditional bank loan. And if you're not, answering these questions all with a yes, it's difficult to get a local bank loan, although they will potentially do it. And as I said, you got to watch out if there's a balloon payment. All lenders basically seem to look at these 6 C's of credit: character, capacity, collateral, capital, conditions, and cash flow. Character, what kind of experience do you have in the business, your integrity, based on your credit score. And for large loans, they might even look and see if you've had any problems legally in the past. Capacity, how you plan on repaying the loan. So your financial projections identify that. Collateral, the secondary form of income. If the loan goes into default, obviously in this case, RV parks or the land is going to be the collateral. The capital, what percentage you put money down, your skin in the game, which is usually somewhere in the neighborhood, as I said earlier, 20% for startups, and it could be as little as 10% for existing companies. Do you need to pull money out, or do you have enough income coming in and you're going to allow your company to accumulate the equity? The conditions economically, and right now interest rates are rising. A couple of years ago, COVID hit, and everybody was going crazy with trying to get out to vacations to RV parks and campgrounds. So the industry really was positively impacted from that. And now in this situation in 2023, with the interest rates going higher, all industries are negatively impacted. So what's going on in the economy has an absolute effect on any given financing. And then finally, cash flow. Where's the source of the money to repay the debt? Again, your financial projections are going to show that. And how much cushion do you have in your income statement or your financial projections? So these are the things that are considered by the lenders. And then if you have any questions, as I mentioned earlier, I am a SCORE counselor. I am happy to, in any way, shape, or form answer questions. Feel free to email me at paul@businessfinancedepot.com. Usually I'll answer the questions within 24 hours. We're happy to help anybody that needs financing. I mean, really, that's what we do for a living. And we, very strongly believe in this industry. I'm a campground, user myself, or Airstream owners. We travel a lot, so we understand the industry. Like I said at the beginning, I have an undergrad degree in recreation and parks, so obviously I have a strong affinity to the industry because I wanted to get into the industry right out of college. So I'm happy to help you in any way we can. And if I never hear from you, I certainly wish you much success in the industry. It's a great industry to be part of. Thank you for your attention, and thank you for listening. Bye-bye.